terms of what we were going to talk about. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comrade Nolu Babalo Mtinga, who has volunteered to assist us in terms of this process. And want to also acknowledge the president of Manda Ashu Workers Union of South Africa, which I'm a volunteer of. I'm a volunteer of Owesome, a union that organizes workers, community workers, and workers that are organized under the expanded public works program. And I want to also acknowledge the leadership that is here. I don't know if they was mentioned in my names. Former Treasurer General of Owesome, Zuma is with us here. And we've got the Comrade Mahlaba as well from KwaZulu-Natal. We've got the provincial organizer of Owesome, Musa Novella. We've got the former provincial convener of Mpumalanga, who convened before elections pro cause. Not those who came after elections in terms of the work. And members of the media and the people of South Africa, we send our revolutionary greetings to all the people of South Africa and black people in the African continent and in the African diaspora. We have called this press conference to speak about some of the recent political developments as it relates to the roles that we're playing in Owesome. That on the 3rd of June 2025, the leadership of Owesome, after national officials meeting, announced the discontinuation of my role as the Secretary General of Owesome. And when the appointment of the announcement was made, there was an indication that will be redeployed to the National Assembly to form part of the parliamentary caucus of Owesome. The principle established in the public announcement was that no leader and no member of Owesome should speak about the reasons why the decision was taken. But it appears that there are those who are talking freely and in most instances almost distorting just what transpired. So, as a disciplined member of Owesome, I want to put on record as to what were the reasons that were given the national officials for my redeployment. The reason given in the national officials for my deployment or removal as Secretary General was that I want to overthrow President Zuma as the president of Owesome. That is what was said. That all the work that we're doing as Secretary General of establishing structures and identifying leaders was meant ultimately at the removal of President Zuma as president of Owesome. And as part of that reasoning, an extremely bizarre and fake intelligence report was produced, which was claimed to be a conversation between me and some people in the African continent, where it is alleged that despite raising money to remove President Zuma, I'm also accumulating supernatural powers to make people disappear. That is the reason why we got to, so we had to deal with superstitious issues as the basis of what happens, that there's apparently a head which I was going to be given to give to someone, and some people were going to die so that I can become president of Owesome. That was the intelligence report, which were rejected with contempt and said that that is absolute rubbish, and said that if anyone claims to have my WhatsApp conversations, I can hand over my phone. I even offered in the meeting that take my phone and check not only the messages that you claim were about the removal of President Zuma, also check any other message about anything that I communicate as a leader of Umkhonto weSizwe. Because there's a principle which I always uphold, that there is nothing that I do privately that I cannot own up publicly. Nothing, including personal relations. There's nothing that I will ever do privately which you cannot own up publicly. And we accepted the redeployment to parliament with those misgivings that we're going to make people disappear in order to take over the leadership of Umkhonto weSizwe. And in a subsequent meeting post that, another fake report was presented which claims to be WhatsApp conversations between me and someone else, where I'm reported to be saying that, yeah, I'm going to use parliament now to take over the party. And I've got money from Stellenbosch, we're going to take over the party through parliament. They are taking me closer to where we're going to take power. And as a result, a decision was taken which was not yet communicated, that even this thing of parliament must not happen. In fact, the former Secretary General, which is myself, must be expelled from the organization. A letter was written and was put in the briefcase of the president, who said that he's going to dispatch it as and when he feels like to discontinue my membership of Umkhonto weSizwe. Those are actual facts in terms of the reason. And where does this come from? So the president of Umkhonto weSizwe, whom I dearly and so deeply respect, is surrounded by political scoundrels who opportunistically use his kindness, sometimes gullibility that comes with age, to write down fake intelligence report to influence him towards wrong directions. And the reason they do that is because they want to steal money from Umkhonto weSizwe. And they are doing so now. Withdrawal of not less than 7 million rand every month from the organizational coffers. That is what defines, and that is what, and we're talking about this because we raised it internally, that stop what you are doing, because you're going to get the party deregistered as a political party, because there's no sound reason on what has been happening, and it's things that we can have any reasonable doubt, not because it's things that we can change, and it's things that you cannot fake. And for that reason, when we raise, every TG who has ever raised that got to be removed as leadership of Umkhonto weSizwe. And there's no TG who has resigned as Umkhonto weSizwe. All of them were refused, were removed to then deal with scoundrels who surround President Zuma to steal money of the organization. I carried my responsibilities as a leader of Umkhonto weSizwe with utmost respect and respected everyone. Led with the collective the process of drafting the constitution and other foundational documents of the organization. Set up structures as part of a collective effort. Got to institutionalize the MK Women's League, the Youth League, the Students' Movement, the MK Interreligious Movement, which in the past used to exist as separate organizations of the South African Interfaith Religious Council, MK Religious Desk, Abela Piben Dabuko, and various other organizations, interfaith, and then we got to unite them to have one organization. We got to even have to formalize the relations between Umkhonto weSizwe and the Progressive Civic Congress, formalize the relationship with MK and MK professionals, MK medics. There's a lot of commendable work which was done by MK medics, a group of medical doctors and health practitioners who will go into communities to offer healthcare services. And in the process of doing that, every day, the political scoundrels work endlessly to speak negatively about the work that we're doing. I was saying, actually, I said it in the national officials meeting, because we can't hold that meeting in private, even when people are talking now. that in December 2024, there was a statement written to remove me as the Secretary General on the basis that I'm about to announce a political party with Tokyo Zikwale and Lindo Sisulu, whom I have never spoken to about anything. Draft statement that was even shared with me. Remove him today because he is going to form a political party. And that is full-time work that is dedicated on everything that you do. When you sit down, it's a problem. When you stand up, it's a problem. When you go out, it's a problem. When you come in, it's a problem every day. Because those who surround him have got evil intentions in terms of what about to happen. I've got tremendous respect for President Zuma. I think that in the few close working relationships that we've got to maintain and work with now, I think I've learned more in the 6 months than I learned in the 10 years I was Deputy President of Mkhonto of the EFF. I learned more as a member of Mkhonto than I learned as a Deputy President of the EFF. In terms of real politics and appreciation of both the domestic and the global politics, much more thoroughly in terms of the issues. And under no circumstances would I ever fault President Zuma and his politics. I joined Mkhonto because I thought that as part of the political historiography of South Africa, his politics and character should be protected and a legacy built around his proper politics, not the ones of gullibility and producing of fake intelligence report. Since the decision to remove ourselves as Secretary General took place, there have been a lot of ordinary South Africans from all corners of the country. There have been a lot of comrades who came from Mkhonto Sizwe, from the ANC, from the EFF to say, what then do we do moving forward? Because I did explain to them what were the developments. And a substantial number of those say that don't ever try to join the ANC, and I fully agree with them. That will never join the ANC. It's directionless, it doesn't know what it's doing, it's in collaboration with the white system now. And there are those who say don't ever join or rejoin the economic freedom fighters because it's a cult. And I agree with them. There's no space for sound ideological reasoning. And there's no self-respecting person who can join both the ANC and the EFF. I agree with that fully. And there are those who said that there's fundamental weaknesses with Mkhonto Sizwe, that the organization seems to be run by a family and seems to be inconsistent on issues of discipline, seems to be directionless and sometimes takes conservative and reactionary positions. I say that part of the reasons why we joined Mkhonto is we could observe from far that we can't allow in South Africa a political organization that can become a tribalist and regional organization with such influence. Instead of throwing insults at MK, we have to play a role in contributing to its ideological character and politics and direction. And I think that we did successfully in terms of what happened. Now, these several observations about the organization of Mkhonto Sizwe. Some are correct, some I will reserve my observations on because I can't abuse the fact that I occupied a very senior role and had access to almost every development that happens there. But those who want to hear my views privately, we can speak about that, but I'll never abuse the fact that there's a role that we played. I did that when I left the EFF, that I said I'll never speak bad about the EFF when I was MK. and I never did. And I'll never speak bad about the MK. I'll never demonize its perspective. But also of those who came, there are those who said that we should form a political party or a political movement to contest the 2026 and 2029 elections. My view about the formation of a political party is that a political party must never be founded by an individual. My prompt response to the first number of people who came was that let us not form a political party, let us fight within the existing political parties. But that if we were to form a political party, let us go to the people of South Africa and ask them if they want to have a political party. We can't form a political party as a group of friends and as few individuals. So a political party should never be an individual project where you feel like, no, I want to start a political party and then you start it. It must never be a family project. It's very dangerous to have political parties which are family run. A political party must not be a tribal or ethnic project. In South Africa today, a political party must not be a regional, must not even be a provincial party. A political party must not be a platform for self-enrichment. It must not be a fiefdom. It must not be a cult. If anything, a political party should be a fighting instrument and vehicle for the people of South Africa, must deeply espouse the principles of democracy and democratic consultations in terms of how decisions are taken, must be transparent and must be accountable in the work that it does. So to the comrades that came to say let us form a political party, we said that we can't take that decision. Let us subject that process to the people of South Africa. So we're here today to announce that we're going to be convening the process of consulting the people of South Africa on the formation of a political movement that will be a true representative of the people of South Africa, and not a personal project, and not a group of friends project, not a cult, and not a fiefdom. So over the next few months, we will be consulting all the traditional leaders. We will be consulting all the church leaders, religious leaders in different institutions. We will be seeking the views and opinions of all the manifestations of the Zion Christian Church, of the Nazareth Baptist Church, of the IPCC, of the 12 Apostle Church in Christ, of the 12 Apostle Church in Trinity, of the Bantu Church of Christ, and all the charismatic churches. We will be seeking opinions as well of prominent leaders of society and people that we have access to. Pastors Matebula, Pastor Bishop Archbishop Zondo, Malumani Musasono, Giet Kosa, Pastor Bishop Don Phillips. We will be seeking the wisdom of prominent South Africans, inclusive of Dr. Ivan Koza, of Dr. Patrice Mutsipi, of Dr. Keza Mtaung, of Dr. Michael Nkuna. We will be seeking opinions of different sectors of society as to, is there a need to form a political party? That is the first question that we're going to ask. That if yes, what should be the values and principles of that political party? And what should distinguish that political party from the existing political parties? So those are the questions that we're going to be asking. We're also going to ask as to how should that political party be funded? So those are the questions that we're going to be asking different communities and constituencies across South Africa. It's not the first time that I'm engaged in a process similar to what we're going to be dealing with now. When I was a leader of the ANC Youth League, having spent 5 years in the national leadership of the ANC Youth League. And and strongly believed that time that there was a suppression of the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime. I began in 2012 when I was still a member of the ANC to publicly write that perhaps the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime should exist as a separate organization outside of the ANC. And then in March of 2013, I wrote a perspective as to why a political party should be founded. And that perspective is found is within the founding manifesto of the economic freedom fighters. And everyone else who came after that perspective joined that perspective and believed as to what we got to do. And of course, we got to discontinue our association with the EFF for various reasons, which if some were to speak about publicly, will cause collateral damages to families, to households, to people, because it will also speak to character and some of the things that are not worth speaking about publicly. So we will be going to all the people of South Africa to consult in all the regions of South Africa. In KwaZulu-Natal, we're going to be going to Mkanyaku, there to Zululand, to Ilembe, to Ugu, to eThekwini, Amajuva, Mzinyathi, Tukela, Mngungundlovu, to Kintetwayo, to Yerugwana. In the Eastern Cape, we're going to start here in Jokabe region and go to Komani and Chris Hani. We're going to go to OR Tambo in Mthatha, to Alfred Mzo in Mount Frere. We'll go to speak to the people of Amatole, one of the poorest districts in the Eastern Cape, which includes Mbashe, Musha, and Mnguma. We're going to speak to the people of Buffalo City, who are still having and confronted by lots of developmental challenges in Duncan Village and all the areas. We're going to be speaking to the people of Sarah Bartman, one of the neglected areas of the Eastern Cape, municipalities of Blue Crane, with a small town called Cook House, of the people of Sandys River Valley, of Dlambe. We're going to be speaking to the people of Nelson Mandela Bay municipality. In the Northwest Province, we're going to be consulting with the municipalities which are named after the doctors of Ngaka Mutiru Mulema, of Dr. Ruth Sukhumutsi Mumpati, of Dr. K.K. Kaunda, of Bojanala. We'll be speaking to all the people of the Northern Cape, in Francis Bard, in one of the most underdeveloped regions of Pixley Kaseme. We're going to be speaking to ZF Mukau, members to Namaka, to the communities of John Taole, Gaitsewe region, which is still facing a lot of super exploitation by those who are operating the mineral resources. Here in Gauteng province, we're going to be speaking to the people of Johannesburg, of course, with a dysfunctional municipality. We're going to be speaking to the people of Ekurhuleni and people of Sidibeng, of West Rand, of Tshwane. In the Free State, we're going to be speaking to the people of Ezilidab, of Lijoleputsa, of Mangaung, of Mufutagana, of Tarib. All the three municipalities of Tarib are dysfunctional. We're going to be speaking to the people of the Western Cape, in Cape Metro, in Southern Cape, in Cape Winelands, in West Coast, in Central Karoo and Overberg. Kusukusala le amusina kuyafika la Waterberg hinkwavo ta va kha vulavula na vona ka Giyani ka Malamulele hinkwavo ka vona ta va kha vulavula na vona hi ku xana hi fanele hi sungula political party ke na loko hi sungula hi fanele hi yimela yini political party yaleyo hi leswi hi nga ta va kha hi endla swona through the length and breadth of South Africa. I'm not talking about all these areas because I read them elsewhere. There is no area in South Africa where I have not done political work. None. Not as a political tourist. As a person who went to do political work, I know and have been familiar with the dynamics of each and every district of this country and have done political work in all corners of this country. In Mpumalanga, I forgot to speak about Mpumalanga. I've worked in Mpumalanga for the longest time. In Tanzania, in Bushbuck, reached our Chewu, Bombela, and Nkomazi, 4 municipalities. And Angala, we are going to have deeper consultation in the district that is named after Herr Shadrach Sibande. We're going to take up the spear that was left by Treasure Tabete in Mkondo and fight the battles of the people of Mkondo, of Tribalism, of all the municipalities of Herr Sibande. So ladies and gentlemen, the people of South Africa, we are here today to announce a process that is going to speak to all the people of South Africa with the aim of establishing a political party if the people of South Africa say we should do so. We do not want to do that as a personal project or as a group of friends project. It must be a party that is owned by the people of South Africa. So that is basically what we had called this press conference to communicate, and we will be going to the ground to speak to the people. We'll be talking to young people via social media platforms and other media platforms. We'll provide platforms as to how the engagements are going to happen. We are going to next week announce the leadership core that is going to be responsible for the consultation process, and that leadership will be coming from all the provinces of South Africa, will be properly gender balanced and not just a group of men or boys. It will be a combination of different skills and capacities so that we're able to listen much more attentively to all the people of South Africa. We thank you very much for having attended this otherwise intimate briefing on what we're
I'm going to come forward. 2 questions per person. Okay. So, yeah, you can pick 25. Hands, okay. All right, let me just give numbers. You will be number 1 there at the back, number 2 with the green, number 3 the lady, number 4, and then number 5.
From UFM. South Africa. Today you are threshing, and when you joined MK, you said that was the most solid and said in light of what happened, and not think that you are stuck in this thing because you do not want to serve as an ordinary member in a party. Thank you.
Finding moments in politics where you say, you know what, I'm ready to do this alone, I'm ready to go at it despite my circumstances.
Mr. Shivambu, you...
Bolekwa from the Sunday Times. Mr. Shivambu, for clarity, the decision to move from the EFF to the MK party, you called it the best and the sound or solid decision. I'm asking you if you do not regret that moment, reflecting upon where we are today. And secondly, you say that you're going to retain your membership of Mkhonto weSizwe party. Can we reasonably expect South Africans and the electorate to take the MK party seriously as a political vehicle when it's been consistently characterized by chaos and fiefdom around President Zuma? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I thought I had responded to the question I don't regret leaving the EFF. It's the best decision I ever took in my political life. Because we're legitimating rubbish there. And there was no way that you could dedicate your intellectual muscles and work. And in practice, you realize that this thing which we said we are standing for is not principle. Check the conduct of EFF in government and what gets to legitimate such. That was the best decision ever. And everyone that we spoke to, this like they, like they were to criminalize Mbuyi, saying, hey, I will never trust a person who knew that the deputy president is leaving. And then they isolate Mbuyi on the basis that he knew that I'm leaving. It's not only Mbuyi it. Those comrades knew. We discussed it, and we reached the same conclusion that we're not being fair to society if we say that this comrade can lead this country. All of us agreed with the people who are leading EFF now. That is basically, and that is the reality of the situation. The people who are leading EFF, all of us were unanimous. And then the issue was, what do we do? If I wanted to destabilize this, someone is asking, were you sponsored to destabilize the EFF? If I wanted to destabilize the EFF, I could have started a faction inside and caused interactions and this. Well, then the decision was, like, let me not destabilize the EFF, let me leave. I never spoke about the EFF anyway. And also in respect of the responsibilities that I had, that if I was national organizer or secretary general and then speak about the EFF, it was going to be confused as if I'm speaking on those platforms on behalf of the organization. In terms of how we got to deal with those, part of, although there were dynamics, like part of the things how we got to deal with those, part of, although there were dynamics, like part of the things from I didn't sit in general or national organizer or anything. Not once did I go and speak to President Zuma and say, please don't remove me as SG here, I'm the best and everything else there. If you were to isolate black people and say just what do we need as the top priority issues for black people that have to be done in this country, we're going to come out with the same things. The people of South Africa, in terms of aspirations and interests, are not divided. The people of South Africa need jobs. They need stable and healthy environments. They need a society that is free of crime and corruption. They want land. They need to live. They want to have access to quality education. Black people are not divided in terms of aspirations. But for narrow political purposes, we get to be divided. That is why we will be going to the people to ask, do we form a political party? If the advice is no, we will be able to accept that guidance in terms of what happens. So I don't need any position of responsibility to survive in life or to have a voice, by the way. I don't need to be a president or secretary general to have a voice. Actually, my voice is much more clearer when I speak without any position of responsibility. So most of you have never heard me speak openly about many issues because I respected the positions that I have. As a deputy president, I couldn't say certain things. As a national organizer, I couldn't say certain things. As a secretary general, I couldn't say certain things. But now I can make open observations about just what is happening. Perhaps even without a position, my voice will be much more amplified in terms of how we push for the agenda of the return of our land. I last spoke to President Zuma on the day when we had a press conference in Durban, and I said to him, thank you very much, Comrade President, for having given me the opportunity to lead and for entrusting me with the responsibility to be national organizer and Secretary General. I really appreciate And then the other thing I said was that if this deployment to Parliament, I think for stability of the organization, I can still add value to the organization even as an ordinary member of the National High Command and then contribute to its growth. That is what I said to the last conversation which we had with President Zuma. I did explain the issue and reminded President Zuma of the conversations on what ended up with the Malawi trip. And throughout my explanation and reminding him of our conversation in Namibia, he agreed to that. He says, "Ngakumbula." When the DSG sitting next to me was even saying, wrote me a note that you are safe, they won't do anything to you. Then I was asked to leave the meeting, and then the meeting remained there. And then they said, we don't believe anything that he said. He wants to take over the organization. Actually, we must go and reverse all the decisions that he has taken. Let's disband all the structures. Let's reverse everything, including the constitution. I said, people can do whatever they want to do. We played our part. If the conviction is that what we're doing is wrong, it's okay. We'll move on in terms of how we deal with these issues. There is no political party which is going to be funded from Malawi. There is no political party that is going to be funded by Bushiri. We are going to listen to the people and will get guidance from the people as to how do we move forward. I'm not, this comrade who asked the question he left. I'm not starting any solo project. We must stop these things that political parties are personal projects, like a music band, Brenda Fassie and the Black Dudes. That if Brenda Fassie is not there, the Black Dudes can't operate. A political party can't have that character. But you have got political organizations in this country which are like Brenda Fassie and the Black Dudes. Where if Brenda Fassie is not there, the Black Dudes are not there. We can't have an organization like that. There must be an organization that exists in every corner of South Africa, whether there is a Floyd or no Floyd or whoever is there, must be the expression of the collective ideals of the political party. That is basically how we dealing with all of those issues. I think we can take the last round of questions. I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. Maybe when we do a one-to-one interview, I'll tip you. Zandile, me and you are together. And Zian. Sure.
Thank you, Comrade Shivambu. Another round. We'll go 1. And then 2, 3, 4. There at the back, Mr. Afro. 5, and then we'll go with you, and then you. Thank you. Okay, we gave you a chance now. Okay, you the last one. Thank you.
Thank you. Molweni nonke, gama lam nguNtsiki Mazwai from the Moya podcast. So, Floyd, you did say that you don't want to be surrounded by yes men, right? And I want to find out that a lot of people were complaining about it being difficult to work with you on a personal level. And I want to know which part you hold yourself accountable to, and if you feel as if there is some personality dynamics that you need to work on yourself, perhaps to be a better leader, to be able to connect with people, or you think it's just all rubbish. And then abantu bafuna ukwazi uba uDudu ebekuthukela ntoni that night. Enkosi.
Good day, it's Wikanyo MDN TV. Mr. Floyd Shivambu, I only have one question for you because my other colleague have already raised other question. Given the reports of your marginalization within the MKP on the basis of ethnicity, do you believe the party operates with the tribalist tendencies? And with your experience, can you confirm or dispel the notion that MKP is fundamentally tribalist in character?
You can talk.
Hi, I'm Amanda Koza from News 24. Mr. Shivambu, I just wanted to know what will happen in the event that MK comes out later saying that you're expelled, if they decide to expel you this afternoon, having said everything that you've said.
Thank you. It's Corinda from Kaya 959. I'd just like to confirm, would this briefing be the first time that other members of MKP are hearing about your plans to try and launch another party, including the former president? And then, sir, you say you won't resign, but you're looking to launch another political party. So if that works, then how would it add up? Would you be then campaigning for both parties? Thank you.
Okay, Tiseto Malawi from PEM News. Mr. Floyd, Julius Malema once said that Jacob Zuma uses people. The only person that he never uses is his daughter. Do you think that's how the man operates? And then the second one, Tutuzile once accused you of stealing. Map out your innocence. Or on Twitter. Okay, mismanaging funds, sorry. Mismanaging funds. Sorry, mismanaging funds, sorry. And then, okay, the last question is that you once made claims that you can easily mobilize members of the EFF to join you. And now you are saying that you're going to consult if you can start a political party from South Africans. If they say that you can start a political party, do you think those leaders and members will join you in that party? Thank you.
It's you. The lady with the, yeah.
All right, my name is Tando Mayeko and I'm from the Business Day. Mr. Shivambu, just please explain the banners behind you. I think you forgot to explain the name of this organization. What is it? Is it an NGO? Is it a church? What is it? And then what's this? Just please also kindly explain who is funding this organization. And then is MK still credible? And then just going back on your accusations of an intelligence report that was used against you by the MK national officials. Are you surprised that an intelligence report was used, considering that the State Capture Commission or the Zondo Commission found that former President Jacob Zuma used to use intelligence reports against his political defectors? Thanks.
Okay. Cindy Sontlabati from the Houghton Network. Mr. Floyd, you've characterized your session, your time now moving forward. And I would greatly like to know, in terms of the perspective of the vision of the South Africa that you dream of, maybe if you can give us the ultimate end goal that this is the vision I have, or the vision we have as a collective that you are part of now, in terms of what is the South Africa that you are looking towards. Thank you.
Mr. Shivambu, Doreen Mukhulu here. Mr. Shivambu, Doreen Mukhulu here from Scholar Africa. I just want to find out, you're speaking about fake intelligence. I want to find out, were there any power dynamics within the party, in the MK, that to a point that they had to make the fake intelligence to push you out?
It's a follow-up. Floyd, I asked about the issue of credibility. Look, you, on your own admission that having left the EFF, anyone that was perceived to be loyal to you, you believe that they were victimized. Are you still willing to now have more careers being destroyed by joining a new entity that you are forming? Should South Africans still regard you as a credible voice when you have served 11 years in an organization and now you are calling it a personal fiefdom? Where was the foresight then? As an educated man, shouldn't you have figured this out much earlier? And the same thing, attitude would be adopted in case of MK, because you've been there for literally 10 months. That then raises the question of your own personal judgment, that you should have foresaw that there's trouble there, that Mr. Zuma is quite elderly and gullible, as you put it. So it speaks to your own personal judgment. Thanks.
I think that is your opinion. Let's give it to you. It's your own opinion. Like, it's not a question. Like, really, and we can't help you. And different people will have different perspectives in terms of what happens. I do know, Ntsiki, I think in conducting political work, like I think those that we have worked with before, the difficulty that they have is when we have got leadership responsibilities. One, I refuse to have private meetings or private engagements. So there is a lady from Mpumalanga who, I think it's called Mary or something like that. So the first meeting I attended of MK, there was a decision. I didn't even know who she is. There was a decision to expel her, and then another meeting. And actually, in the first meeting, I even said that, please don't expel comrades. It's too early. Let us go and engage with them. And it's in the minutes of MK that said, don't expel her. Further engagements and all of those things. Then another decision was taken, but some of the decisions had to be written and signed by me, even when you have expressed a different view inside. Then she asked for a private meeting to brief me. Then I said, I can't do that. And I said it actually in the national officials meeting that majority of times comrades would want to meet you privately and be buddy so that they are protected when they do wrong things in the organization. And that is the conduct that we got to deal with. You know, I'm very close to Mzobe. We always say that we've known each other for more than 20 years, but he was head of presidency. When I was doing wrong things, I'll write him a letter that you're not doing your work properly as head of presidency. And wrote it in an organizational report that, yes, and he will also give me criticisms as well that, hey, you're too closed up and all of those things, but That is how organizations are run. You can't run it through friendship in terms of how you then get to conduct yourselves. But if there are other issues, we can be able to listen to that. MK is not tribalist. It's not a tribalist organization. There's no tribalism. I never got to encounter tribalism. But I know there are people who mischaracterize the organization because also it was still at its formative stages. So there are people who truly believe that it's an organization to liberate Zulu-speaking people. So there will be those who will say that. And they will say that to the president. And there are those who believed that, but it's not the overall character of MK. These extremely brilliant comrades and activists that are in Kontowe Sizwe, who understand politics properly, organizing, mobilization, and there's never been a problem of tribalism which can be elevated. I know there was an incident now of Teniso, brilliant young man who is the leader of the MK Youth League, made a legitimate, honest, innocent mistake about referring to Tsonga speaking people as Shangan and everything else. They like it. For some people it lands well, for some people it doesn't land well. But I think a substantial number take it derogatory as a derogatory reference. But he didn't mean bad, like he was not doing it in a vindictive and tribalist way. I know him that Teniso is a proper comrade who has got a bright future in the politics of South Africa. So there's no tribalism in the organization. I don't agree with the analysis of Julius about President Zuma. I don't. I've got to interact with him and all of those other things. But I know there are times where I think former president or former secretary general who worked with him for the longest time in the ANC, Halima Motlanthe, I think when he did an interview with Sizwe, he said that the limitation with President Zuma is that sometimes he can be persuaded about an issue outside of organizational structures and want to take a decision based on what was the persuasion outside of organizational structures. So that becomes a dilemma for any, particularly as a Secretary General, because once you have taken resolutions collectively, your expectation is that you must collectively communicate and defend those resolutions. And that time he has now reconsidered the decisions that were taken before, and then it then becomes difficult to move forward in terms of. I think that observation, which I share, was already communicated by President, former SG of the ANC, Halima Motlanthe, when President Zuma was in office. So that dynamic is a limitation generally, that he meets way too many people. And in the process, sometimes he meets people and then he says, and then those people interpret that as if he agreed to whatever they were saying. And that is the dynamic. But I don't agree at all that he uses people. He is trusted by the people of KwaZulu-Natal and by the people of South Africa. The genuine building was to expand the message of what he stands for. And he is not opportunist in terms of how he communicates political principle. Like even in closed spaces, there could be I'll give an example, for instance, that the Moroccan embassy wanted to buy the position of MK to say that MK should support Morocco's operation over Western Sahara. And then there are those closer to him who visited Morocco, were promised money, and then they came back and said MK must agree with Morocco's operation of Western Sahara. Then when he realizes that they won't understand this, then he called me into the meeting. then said to the Moroccan ambassador and political secretary that we are not going to agree with you. If we are going to have engagements with the Kingdom of Morocco, we must talk to the SADR here and the Polisario Front, which is the liberation movement fighting for the liberation of Western Sahara. And then we agreed on that principled positions. I wrote a letter on the 27th of March to the Polisario Front to say that the president will engage with you before he engages with Morocco, because it's now 50 years since the operation got to happen over Western Sahara by Morocco. And you saw what happened. Immediately we were suspended. What is that? Not suspended, that thing of redeployed. Then the Moroccan government issued a statement which is undersigned by Mkhonto Wesizwe to say that Mkhonto Wesizwe supports its oppression over Western Sahara. No meeting to discuss that, no national high command, no officials. Someone just says, and the people who did that, it's those who went to Morocco. Like, that is basically the whole thing. Like, there's no, and in the official record, in the minutes of the National High Command, is that President Zuma is going to mediate a discussion between Western Sahara Liberation Forces and Morocco to find a settlement. It has been going in for a very long time. But after, immediately we leave, because they couldn't do that in our presence, obviously. They couldn't. Then they saw an opportunity that, yeah, now we're going to maybe press that jukebox or to sing for us. And then and you can see that statement, which is issued in the name of MK, is written by the Moroccan embassy here in South Africa to impose a position on MK on the basis that there will be money exchanges. And that is what happens. Also, even with this, you remember when we did a press conference, Muslim Judicial Council. So part of these scoundrels, they go to speak to the Muslim Judicial Council and say, no, please go and speak to President Zuma, say to him that he must remove the SG, and that is the only basis he will give money. And then they go there and say, and you know, in that church of transactional issues that also guide decisions and policy that from reference to Zondo, the judge, like, I have no respect for Zondo, zero. And he actually made me to have much more deeper respect for President Zuma. Like, I have no respect for that nonsense of state capture and I've got no regard, none whatsoever of those. It can't be my point of reference on anything. Like, even the whole decision to get President Zuma arrested was absolute rubbish. Even that time as a deputy president of the EFF, I condemned that. I took international interviews. General or national organizer or anything. Not once did I go and speak to President Zuma and say, please don't remove me as SG here, I'm the best and everything else there. Why would I be perturbed about being expelled by Mkondozi who doesn't have power? Like, what will be like? That is the issue. I don't beg membership of political organizations. I deal with these issues differently. You know, I used to say all the time to the DSG of Mkondo Sizwe that let's do our work. People can say whatever they want to say, they can scream and everything else. We take decisions, we implement, we go towards that are having by-elections. Before we went towards, the MK never used to win by-elections. We used to go towards to preside over volunteers without photos, without cameras, and pay attention to every little detail, and then we started to win wards. And then some people from parliament, they go a day before elections and they take photos there and they say, hey, we've delivered the ward. After we have delivered it, Richmond we delivered. What goes out delivered? Mandeni we delivered. Like, and we do the work, and 3 months before the by-elections happens, we go there every week. And as we can't be entertaining who says what and everything. As I actually even told one of the provincial coordinators who said, hey, SJ, there are people who are talking about you here. They say you must be removed. I said, oh, man, don't ever send me such a message. Leave those things. If there's a decision to remove me, they will take it, but I'm not going to be sitting down and worried about removal and everything else. That now we take decisions and then we implement what is mandated by the collective and then build an organization on what should happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of South Africa, thank you very much for having listened to us speak for a very long time. We will be visiting all parts of South Africa. Next week, we're going to be announcing the leadership structure that is going to be guiding the listening process, so that we then also will be announcing just where are we going to be visiting for community engagement and interactions with our people. That is how we get to be here. Thank you very much. We are availing ourselves to be at service. We are servants of the people who want to listen. If the guidance is that we must form a political party, we are going to do it decisively and lead our people towards prosperity and total emancipation. Thank you very much. Sabong.